You shouldn't be out here alone, sir, not dressed like that in South Bronx at 3 a.m. The man didn't respond. He stood hunched near the curb, rain pelting down on his $1,000 coat, his shoes sinking slightly into a puddle at the edge of the cracked sidewalk. Then, without warning, his legs gave out. He collapsed forward, face first into the cold, wet asphalt. For a few seconds, no one moved. Across the street, two men in hooded jackets leaned against the wall of a shuttered liquor store. One of them nudged the other, gesturing toward the fallen man. Their interest was obvious and not friendly. They started to cross the street, slowly, deliberately. Maya Williams didn't wait to see what they wanted. She darted into the rain without thinking, splashing through the gutter as she rushed toward the man. "Sir, hey," she called, kneeling beside him. Up close, she could see that he was older, probably in his 50s, well-groomed, and clearly not from the neighborhood. A luxury watch clung to his wrist. His wallet had fallen nearby. Open, she looked up again. The two men were closing in, now just a dozen steps away. "Nope, not tonight," Maya muttered. With surprising strength, she hooked her arms under his and hoisted him up, dragging him toward the side staff entrance of the Velvet Lantern Inn. The man groaned incoherently, but his legs moved just enough to keep from dragging. They slipped inside just as the two strangers reached the sidewalk. Maya didn't look back. Inside the inn, the hallway lights buzzed overhead, casting tired yellow glows on the tile floor. Maya eased the man onto a bench by the laundry room. His head lolled to one side, soaked hair clinging to his forehead. His breath was heavy with whiskey. She rifled through his wallet to find some identification, trying not to feel guilty. One of the business cards inside was gold-trimmed. Harvey Whitmore, she blinked. Wait, that Harvey Whitmore. Anthony, she called to the front desk clerk, can you verify this ID? Anthony returned with wide eyes. Holy hell, he whispered, that's him. That's really him. Maya didn't waste time. She grabbed her phone and ordered a cab. I'm not letting him crash here, and I'm definitely not letting some scammy Uber driver swipe his cards while he's passed out. 15 minutes later, the cab pulled up. Maya pulled a 50 from her own wallet, folded it tight, and stuffed it into the driver's hand before the man could say a word. Don't charge him. Just get him home. He's out of it. The cabbie raised an eyebrow but nodded. She turned to help Harvey into the back seat. His body leaned against her with the weight of someone who'd let go of the wheel. As she fastened the belt across him, he mumbled something. You good people, he slurred. Don't forget. You're the kind that matters. She didn't answer. She just closed the door gently. The cab pulled away into the mist, its taillights glowing red in the fog. Inside, Maya stood still for a moment, letting the air settle. Her shoes were soaked. Her hoodie clung to her shoulders, and the clock inside the front desk now read 3:52 a.m. Just another night at the Velvet Lantern. Except somehow, it didn't feel like it. She walked back toward the staff locker, peeling off her wet hoodie and wringing out the sleeves. She didn't know what drove her to act tonight. Instinct, maybe, or just a deep refusal to let one more person fall while the world turned its back. Outside, the storm began to break, and far above the buildings of South Bronx, the first light of morning cracked the sky open, quiet, steady, and irreversible. The following Thursday, just before the lunch rush, Maya was folding cocktail napkins at the end of the bar when the bell above the entrance gave a sharp chime. She didn't look up. Probably Mr. Travers, the regular who always asked for extra lemon in his iced tea but never tipped more than a nickel. Excuse me, a smooth voice said, low and polished. She glanced up, already forming a polite smile, and froze. Standing there, in a crisp suit perfectly tailored, hair neatly combed back, and eyes sharp with intent, was the same man she had dragged off the sidewalk a week ago. Only now, there was no trace of the half-conscious, rain-soaked mess she'd hauled into a cab. He looked composed, powerful. Maya's fingers clenched the napkin. "I believe I owe you a proper thank you," he said. The entire bar went still. Even Anthony at the front desk peeked over the edge of his monitor. Carla, the morning housekeeper, suddenly found an urgent need to wipe the countertop right beside them. Maya didn't blink. "Looks like you're walking just fine." "I'd say the cab did its job." Harvey stepped closer, his tone calm but firm. "It wasn't the cab that saved me that night." "I didn't do anything anyone else wouldn't have done," she replied, arms folded across her chest. "Then it's a shame no one else did." His gaze flicked around the room, then back to her. "I looked into you, Miss Williams." Maya's stomach tightened. "I'm sure you did. You dropped out of college at 19 to care for your mother. You've worked 3 jobs at once, kept this place running while the manager slipped money under the table, and you've paid more out of pocket for guest damages than any employee should. You even paid for my cab fare when you thought I couldn't handle it." Maya narrowed her eyes. "You're making a lot of assumptions." "No," he said gently, "I'm stating facts." There was a long silence between them. Then he pulled a slim leather folder from inside his coat and placed it on the counter. "I own this property," he said, "and several others. But this one, the Velvet Lantern, it's been on the chopping block for a while now. Underperforming, poor management, low returns. I was ready to liquidate." Maya swallowed hard. "If you're firing me, you came overdressed." "I'm not firing you," Harvey said. "I'm offering you ownership." The napkin in her hand tore in two. "What?" she said, louder than she intended. He didn't flinch. "You're the only reason this place hasn't collapsed. The only reason guests still check in. I've run the numbers, watched the surveillance from that night. You didn't have to do what you did. You could have left me on that sidewalk like everyone else." "People don't just give away hotels," Maya said, voice tight. "Especially not to haggard waitresses in the Bronx." "People don't usually save billionaires from freezing to death in the rain," he replied. She stared at him, unsure whether to laugh or scream. "So this is what? Some rich man's redemption tour?" His smile faded. "This isn't about guilt. It's about recognition." "I don't need your recognition," she said. "No," he said quietly, "but you deserve it." The folder on the counter remained untouched. She looked at it like it might bite. "I need time," she finally said. "You've got it," Harvey replied, sliding the folder closer to her. "Everything's in there, legal transfer, debt clearances, renovation grants. My lawyer will walk you through every detail. And if you say no, I'll respect that. But I hope you won't." He turned to go, then paused. "There's something about you, Maya. You don't wait for permission to do what's right. That's rare." And then he was gone. Maya stood motionless, surrounded by silence and eyes pretending not to stare. Carla muttered, "You going to open that thing?" Maya stared at the folder. "I don't even know what's in it." "You just got handed a miracle, girl," Carla said. "Might want to see if it's real." Later that night, after wiping down the bar and locking the front doors, Maya sat alone in the empty lobby. The folder lay in her lap, unopened. She glanced at her phone. No messages, no missed calls. Her mother was already asleep at the care home, and the silence made the walls echo louder. She opened the folder. Inside were documents, stamped and signed, pre-approved by lawyers she'd never met, a detailed breakdown of hotel debts, most of them cleared by wire transfers from a shell corporation, a proposed renovation budget, a training grant, all under her name. On the final page was a handwritten note, "You gave a stranger dignity. Let this give you the same. H.W." Maya closed the folder, pressed her palm against it, and closed her eyes. This was insane. Impossible. But maybe, just maybe, it was real. And if it was, her life was about to change forever. If you believe Maya's kindness truly deserves something this beautiful, give her a like. And where are you watching this from? Share it in the comments below. Who knows? Someone near you might be watching this story, too. Maya didn't sleep that night. She lay on her futon with the folder still open beside her, staring at the ceiling in her tiny apartment above the laundromat. The air smelled faintly of dryer sheets and bleach. The hum of the machines below was strangely soothing, but her thoughts spun like loose change in a dryer. A hotel? Her hotel? No, it couldn't be real. Not without strings. No one gave away power like that without wanting something in return. And yet, the paperwork sat right there, thick, dry, and undeniably legal. Every page notarized, every line clear. Harvey Whitmore hadn't just made a promise. He'd already set the pieces in motion. She picked up her phone and called the care home. Her mother's voice crackled over the line, soft and raspy. "Maya, baby, it's 2 o'clock in the morning." "I know," Maya whispered. "But what if something big just happened? What if something impossible?" Her mother chuckled, a fragile sound laced with years of fatigue. "Did you finally win the lottery?" "Worse," Maya said, tears in her throat. "I think someone gave me a hotel." There was a long pause. Then, well, damn. The next morning, Maya walked back into the Velvet Lantern, not as a waitress, but as its potential owner. The air felt heavier. Even the old chandelier above the lobby seemed to swing with more judgment than usual. Anthony raised an eyebrow when she stepped behind the front desk. "You opened that folder yet?" "Yeah," she said. Anthony gave a low whistle. "So, what now?" Maya didn't answer. Instead, she opened the office door behind the lobby, a place she'd only glimpsed when Carl, the former manager, would emerge in a cloud of cigar smoke, barking about linens or liquor shipments. The room was musty, stacked with old invoices, broken chairs, and a calendar from 2014 still pinned to the wall. She took a slow breath and stepped inside. For the rest of the day, Maya disappeared into that room. She sorted files, checked vendor lists, and called the phone numbers on the bills. Some were disconnected. Others answered with unfamiliar voices and vague responses. More than once, she hung up mid-sentence when things didn't feel right. By noon, she'd confirmed at least 3 vendors on the books didn't exist. Elmage Cleaning Company had no tax ID. Metro Fire Systems was registered to a P.O. box in Delaware. One invoice showed thousands spent on HVAC diagnostic updates that never happened. It wasn't just disorganization. It was a mess, intentional, possibly criminal. At 3 p.m., she called the number listed for Harvey's legal representative. A calm, clipped voice answered, "Brenda Witt, speaking. This is Maya Williams. I was told you're handling the transfer for the Velvet Lantern Inn." "Yes, Miss Williams. Everything's in order. We're waiting on your signature to complete the ownership change. Do you have any questions?" "Yeah," Maya said. "Why would someone gift me a business drowning in fake expenses and phantom vendors?" There was a brief pause. "Mr. Whitmore believes in second chances. He also believes in your capacity to fix what others broke." Maya's voice dropped. "I'm not here to clean up a mess that rich men made while looking the other way." "Then don't," Brenda said calmly. "Make it yours. Burn what you need. Rebuild." That night, Maya stayed late. She pulled the broken blinds in the office, poured herself a cup of coffee from the front desk, and laid out every invoice on the floor. Around midnight, Carla appeared in the doorway, holding a Tupperware container. "I figured you'd still be here," she said. "I made sweet potatoes. Want some?" Maya looked up, exhausted but grateful. "Please." They ate on the floor, surrounded by paperwork and dust. "You really going through with this?" Carla asked between bites. I don't know yet, Maya admitted. Part of me thinks I'm crazy. The other part, she sighed, I think I've already started. You always were the only one around here with any damn sense, Carla said. Maya smiled faintly. Carl sure didn't like hearing it. Carla rolled her eyes. Carl didn't like anyone questioning his cigar budget or his cash drawer shortages. You take this place over, Maya, and people will back you. The right people, anyway. Maya looked around the office, this neglected, hidden room that had once been the heartbeat of the hotel. Now it throbbed with a different kind of energy, possibility. The next morning, she returned with fresh clothes, a notebook, and a list. She started by meeting with every staff member individually. She asked questions. She listened. Some, like Carla and Anthony, were supportive. Others, like Miguel in maintenance, scoffed at the idea of the waitress playing boss. But Maya didn't flinch. On Friday, she posted a notice on the bulletin board, effective immediately, the Velvet Lantern Inn is under new ownership. We rebuild from the inside out. If you're in, I'll see you Monday at 9 a.m. If not, I wish you well. Maya Williams. She didn't sleep much that weekend. On Monday morning, she stood at the front desk with a fresh pot of coffee, a clipboard, and her heart thudding like a war drum. At 8:57, Carla walked in, wearing her usual faded sneakers and a new shade of lipstick. At 9 o'clock, Anthony arrived with 3 printed spreadsheets. At 9:05, Jenny from housekeeping came in quietly, head low, but nodding once. By noon, 12 employees had returned. Maya stood in front of them, barely breathing, and said, I'm not a CEO. I'm not a miracle worker. But I'm here, and if we build this place right, none of us will have to go home ashamed anymore. There was silence. Then Carla clapped once. Anthony followed. Then the room filled with applause, not loud, not showy, but solid, real. Maya exhaled for the first time in days. The rebuild had begun. Maya's first week as owner of the Velvet Lantern felt like trying to fix a leaky roof in a hurricane. Every time she patched one hole, 3 more sprang open. The boiler gave out on Wednesday. The delivery company missed Friday's shipment. And the guest in room 206 claimed a ghost stole her earrings, though Maya suspected it was the dripping ceiling and a loose floorboard. Still, something had shifted. The staff began to show up early. Jenny, who once ducked out 15 minutes before her shift ended, was now staying after hours to reorganize the supply closets. Even Miguel had grudgingly fixed the hot water pipe without being asked twice. There was movement, a pulse, a heartbeat. But underneath the small victories, something darker brewed. On Thursday morning, Maya was reviewing the vendor contracts in the back office when she noticed a strange name repeated across multiple invoices, Briarstone Holdings. The company billed for everything from pest control to elevator maintenance. But Maya had never met a representative from them. And the amounts, always just under $5,000, were oddly consistent, like someone was deliberately staying beneath a red flag threshold. She leaned back in the squeaky office chair and stared at the invoice. The company's address was listed as a suite in Midtown Manhattan. She pulled out her phone and dialed. The line rang twice before a robotic voice answered, "This number has been disconnected." Her jaw tightened. She tried another, Nash Financial Group, listed on a security system upgrade from 6 months ago. Same result. No connection. Her pulse picked up. "Carla," she called into the hallway, "you got a second?" Carla poked her head in, arms crossed, wiping flour from her apron. "If you're asking me to fix the ice machine again, the answer is no. I nearly electrocuted myself last time." Maya chuckled, then turned serious. "Do you remember any vendors named Briarstone Holdings or Nash Financial?" Carla's brow furrowed. "Briarstone. Yeah, Carl used to mention them when the books didn't add up. Said they handled things. Never met a single person from there." You digging into old ghosts? Maybe, Maya murmured, or something worse. That night, long after the last guest had gone to bed, Maya sat alone in the office with every folder, every invoice, every receipt spread out like a paper crime scene. She used yellow sticky notes to mark patterns, repeated company names, suspicious amounts, odd delivery records. 3 names popped up again and again: Briarstone Holdings, Nash Financial, and Eastgate Logistics. All of them billed thousands for services she couldn't verify, and all were connected to the previous management. Carl and whoever had set up the vendor accounts. By midnight, her head ached, but the picture was becoming clearer. This wasn't just bad bookkeeping. Someone had been siphoning money from the Velvet Lantern for years, quietly, strategically. She opened the old locked cabinet in the back of the room, the one she'd found a rusted key for last week, wedged inside the couch cushions in the lounge. Inside were boxes of ledgers, not digital records, but handwritten. She pulled one out, dusted it off, and opened to a page marked March Laundry Service Diversion. It listed transactions that didn't appear in any electronic file, hundreds, sometimes thousands, sent to names that didn't appear in any vendor list. Fake contracts, mirror invoices. Maya's breath caught. This wasn't negligence. This was laundering. She leaned back, gripping the edges of the book. Her fingers trembled. Her phone buzzed. A text from Anthony: "Hey, FYI. Some guy in a suit came by asking about the new owner. Said he was an old friend of Carl's. Didn't leave a card. Just a weird vibe." Maya didn't respond. She closed the ledger, placed it in her bag, and locked the rest back inside the cabinet. The next morning, she called Brenda Witt, Harvey's legal rep. "Miss Witt," Maya began, voice steady but low, "did you or Mr. Whitmore ever look into Carl's financial activity before the transfer?" There was a pause on the other end. "He was advised to walk away clean. Mr. Whitmore didn't want to inherit baggage." "Well," Maya said, "he might have gifted me more than a hotel. I think someone was laundering money through this place, and they might still be trying." "I'll inform Mr. Whitmore," Brenda said, "but be careful, Maya. People who set up schemes like that don't like the lights turned on." Maya hung up and stood for a long moment in the office, eyes closed, hand pressed flat against the file cabinet. This wasn't just her fight anymore. She had inherited a battlefield. By late afternoon, she gathered the staff in the lobby for an unscheduled meeting. The chandelier flickered above them, but no one joked about it this time. "I need to tell you all something," she began. "I think the Velvet Lantern was used for more than just hospitality in the past. Some of the vendors we've paid, they don't exist, and the money went somewhere." A beat of silence. Carla's face tightened. Jenny looked away. "Do you think Carl was involved?" Anthony asked. "I don't know yet," Maya said. "But I do know this: if we keep moving forward without cleaning this out, we're building on poison." Carla spoke first. "So, what do you need us to do?" Maya looked around the circle. These weren't corporate experts or trained investigators. They were line cooks, clerks, cleaners, but they were hers. "I need eyes, ears, stories. Anything strange," Carl said, "anyone who came by after hours, sketchy deliveries, write it down. Tell me. We piece it together." Carla nodded. "You got it." Jenny raised her hand. "There was a guy a few months ago. Called himself Mr. V, real slick, drove a black BMW. Came in late nights to meet Carl. Said they were discussing expansions. I didn't trust him." Maya's spine stiffened. Mr. V. She added it to her growing list of shadows. That night, she stayed again. The office was dimly lit, her laptop open. She typed every name, every address, cross-referencing P.O. boxes, abandoned websites, dead phone numbers. And on one forum, deep in the comments of a whistleblower article, she saw it: "Briarstone is a front. Check who's behind it. The guy with the initials VK. Maya's heart thudded. She copied the thread and added it to a folder on her desktop labeled simply, proof. She didn't know how deep this went. Not yet. But she had found the rot. And now she was going to cut it out. 2 nights later, Maya stood behind the reception desk, pretending to sort reservation cards, while her eyes stayed fixed on the glass entrance doors. The lobby was quiet, except for the buzz of the old vending machine and the occasional creak from the second floor. Carla had already gone home. Jenny was doing a final sweep of the third-floor hallway, and Anthony was in the back office running the day's numbers. But Maya was waiting. At 9:42 p.m., the doors opened. He walked in like he owned the place, tall, tailored, and too smooth to be local. His suit was a deep charcoal gray, perfectly pressed, and his cologne reached her a full 2 seconds before his voice did. "Evening," he said, with a smile that never reached his eyes. Maya stepped out from behind the desk. "We're full tonight." He chuckled. "That's a shame. I'm not here for a room. Just wanted to see what all the buzz was about." She said nothing. He stepped closer, glanced around. "You've cleaned up quite a bit. I like the lighting changes. Softer, less interrogative." "Do I know you?" Maya asked. He leaned one hand on the desk, letting the silence stretch. "Call me Vincent." Her throat tightened. The name from the whistleblower thread, VK. He reached into his coat and pulled out a sleek black business card. No phone number, just his name and a gold-embossed V. Maya didn't touch it. Vincent smiled wider. "You've been busy asking questions, calling vendors that were quite happy staying invisible, digging through files most people would burn." "I'm just trying to run a hotel," she said. "No," he replied, eyes narrowing slightly, "you're trying to play detective in a story you don't understand." Maya didn't flinch. "You're right. I don't understand why someone like you would bother showing up at all unless you had something to hide." His jaw twitched, just for a second. Smart girl. But smart doesn't always mean safe. The air changed. Vincent stood up straighter. "Walk away, Maya. Enjoy the hotel. Repaint the walls. Serve your peach cobbler. But stop chasing shadows. You're not built for what's behind them." Maya's voice was low. "You don't scare me. You should be." Then, just like that, he turned and walked out. No threats, no violence, just calm menace wrapped in a designer suit. Maya stood frozen until the sound of the door chime faded into the street. She turned and walked straight into the office. Anthony looked up from the desk, surprised. "Everything okay?" "No," she said. "Call Carla. Tell her to change all the locks first thing tomorrow, front, back, storage, everything. And I want surveillance up and running before the weekend." "Was that the guy?" She nodded. "Vincent Kane. He was here." Anthony's eyes widened. "What did he want?" "To scare me." Later that night, Maya sat at her kitchen table with the ledger open, her laptop beside it. She scrolled through public business filings, comparing addresses, matching LLC names, tracing board member overlaps. It was exhausting work. But by 2 a.m., a pattern emerged. Vincent Kane was tied to at least 3 shell companies that had billed the Velvet Lantern through a company called Westridge Strategies. He had stakes in hospitality portfolios up and down the eastern seaboard. The man was laundering millions through small-town properties that barely broke even on paper. And now Maya had interrupted his flow. She copied every file, every link permalink.